Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to move my websites to a new web server. I'll take this opportunity to briefly explain how my setup looks like and why this site works at all. Those who have been following my blog libe.net know that I originally used a vServer with Plesk and replaced the original setup with Docker containers. The Docker containers will help me today to make the move go over as quickly and smoothly as possible. I'm running the two sites libe.net and script-example.com on a virtual cloud server at Hetzner. In order to access the website via a domain name, a DNS server is required in addition to a domain registration. In my case, this is the DNS server of the provider. If you register a domain or change a registration, you have to specify a responsible DNS server. The administration of the DNS server can then be used to create the zone for the registered domain. Web servers have a public IP address, and in order for websites to be accessible via domain names, all we need now are entries in the relevant DNS zone with the server IP address as the destination. At Hetzner, DNS management can be conveniently carried out via a DNS console. I originally added the DNS zone for libe.net with Add New Zone. The zone can be filled manually or, if a website is moved from another provider, it can be read out automatically. In order to use the DNS server from Hetzner, the named servers must be deposited in the actual domain registration. I currently have the domains registered with another provider. A look into the administration of the domain order shows us the specified DNS servers. Back to the DNS administration. In the zone, an A record with the IP address of my virtual server was added. The servers can be created and managed via the Cloud Console. Here we are able to see my existing server and its IP address. This coincides with the IP in the DNS. Within the web server, the requests are forwarded to a Docker reverse proxy. This then distributes the requests to the actual web applications. See also the corresponding article on my website. To move the web server, we first need a new server to transfer all the websites from the old server to it. Right after the creation, we also see the IP address of the new server. The root password for it has been sent to the stored email address, so we will be able to access it. I start a terminal and connect to the new server using the SSH command. I have written down the commands for the Docker installation on my website libe.net. For the installation, I simply copy them into the terminal. Now Docker containers could already be started on the new server, but we still need the data from our old server for the websites. For a better overview, I use two terminals. On the left, I connect to the existing server, on the right, to the new one. I intentionally didn't use volumes in my web server setup, but folders. All Docker Compose files and their folders are located below /var/web. Each subfolder contains all the data for a particular site. The Compose files are located in the folders of the websites and contain all the information to load the containers. One level down, additional subfolders of the website folders contain the actual data of the websites. After all relevant data is located below /var/web, it can be transferred from the old server to the new one with a simple rsync command in a command line. The rsync parameters used here make it possible to transfer only the changes when restarting. Accordingly, the first sync takes relatively long. Already with the second sync, the copy process for my approximate 20 GB data is in under a minute finished. This will be the downtime I accept when moving the server in order not to have different data statuses between the old and the new server, and to make sure that all databases are consistent on the new server. In preparation for the move, I prepared a traffic load balancer that redirects all accesses from the old server to the new one after activating the websites on the new server. The configuration can be found on my website again. To make the server change as fast as possible, I thought about the following procedure. On the existing server, I stop all Docker containers and start the prepared load balancer for the TCP redirection. At the same time, I can restart the copy process on the new server and then put all containers back into operation. On the target server, I have prepared a short bash script for the server change. I will put the script on my site libe.net in future. Since the old server is still active, it is not a problem to start the script and all containers at the new server in advance for testing. The copy process on the fly does not guarantee consistent databases, since the services on the source server have not been stopped yet the data state is most likely sufficient for testing the websites. To preload the websites from a specific machine from the new server, we can enter the IP address of the new server in the hosts file of the machine. This allows us to test the setup in advance and minimize the risk for the changeover. If everything works as desired, the entries in the hosts file can be removed again, and we are finally ready for the server change. As planned, I stop all Docker containers on the old server and start the redirection container. At the new server, I run our prepared bash script. The websites are still accessible through the old server and its IP address, but they are already running on the new server. Completing the migration, we need to change the DNS record to the new server so that the accesses are directly to its IP address, and we can turn off the old server later. If you run a mail server, you should also adjust the reverse DNS record. It is well known that DNS takes some time until changes become active everywhere on the internet, so in our setup within a certain transition phase, the accesses end up partly still on the old server and partly already on the new one. A look into the logs of our container for the redirection tells us whether there are still accesses via the old server. If there are no more relevant accesses, the old server can be switched off and deleted. For details and new information, visit my page libe.net, subscribe to this channel and leave me a thumb. Thanks a lot and see you next time.